Hey, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here, we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, animes, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. Before we get into this video, honestly, I didn't know this video was going to happen because, like, 4 a.m. this morning, my power went out, and then it didn't come on until, like, 11 o'clock. Like, I think right now, what time is it right now? It's, if you can see that, it's 1:08. We've only had power for, like, 2 hours. So I'm really happy because it was really cold in my house. Why did my power go out? I can't tell you. Because there was no snow. There was no hail, sleet. It was extremely cold. It was extremely hot. The weather was super normal. And everything went downhill. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really happy my power's on. I'm able to make this video because I really wanted to get this out. Because I hadn't filmed all week. Like, the 3 videos that were posted were videos I had recorded during the weekend and then posted them this week because I kind of needed a break. And, like, I was going through a little bit, and so, like, seeing your guys' like comments have definitely like lifted my spirits and have given me the energy like I needed, the serotonin boost I needed, and I felt like I had enough energy to like come on today and like do a beat and then also like record this James Charles video because this is a mess, honey. This is an absolute mess, but we gonna get into it. Okay, so let's get into this, right? Because this is an absolute like clusterfuck of mess. So, like, you know, I'm still in college, my brother's in school, I'm helping him with schoolwork, I'm doing my stuff. I get on Twitter and I see James Charles trending, and I immediately knew it was for nothing good. That man never trends for anything good. So I had already knew, you know, what was up, what was about to go down. I didn't have an idea what was about to go down, but I knew something was up, right? Also, I won't be saying the name of the boy in the situation, nor will I be showing his pictures. That is just something that I do on my channel. Even though he is very public about it, I still don't like showing the faces of minors. We don't do that over here. But this young man posts a TikTok that he then posts to his Instagram, Twitter page. And it's about James Charles. He starts off with, you know, a trigger warning, grooming. I'm sorry. James Charles' name was a part of the trigger warning, and I kind of laughed. I'm sorry. Because James Charles is a trigger, I believe it. I 100% believe it. The young man starts off by saying that James Charles had added him on Snapchat, and he was really excited because he is a fan of James Charles. He says that, like, he starts off the conversation with James, like, on, like, the "you're my favorite influencer, I really love you" type tip. I just want to talk to you. And he said that at one point he sends a snap to James while he's in the bathroom, and from that point forward the conversation between the two of them became extremely sexual. Now, the young man said that he had told James Charles that he was, you know, a minor. He was 16, and that seemed to not have disturbed James, that James seems to have not really cared and continued to send sexually explicit snaps to him. Now, this is not the first time that James Charles has been in situations like this, but this is the first time that the person actually has like credible receipts and not just, do you see we in DMs talking, like, because I'm gonna talk about those situations later, but like this was the first, because there was another kid that had came out in June of last year, but fans did what fans do best and they attacked them and buried the whole situation, because I forgot about that. I truly did. I know a lot of people have no idea what happened in June, but yes, there was another kid that came out in June and said it. But this kid, unlike the other ones, actually has proof. He has proof that James Charles snapped him. He doesn't have messages because he said that James deleted them, which is something you can do on Snapchat, so I'm not surprised about that. But he also had pictures of James Charles. Now, first, if you have identifying features like James Charles with moles, tattoos like me, you don't send people nudes when you're at the status of James Charles. You don't fucking do that. Because as soon as I saw those moles like on like his back, stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, that's James. And then James Charles is fucking, if you go and do grimy shit, don't put your face in it. I thought like the old saying, no face, no case. because in a couple of those snaps, where you can very much so tell that James Charles is naked, I think he shows like a picture of James Charles' ass blurred out and stuff like that. But like, we see James Charles' actual face in a couple of these snaps, and I'm like, you can't quite defend that, can you, James? And you know, it goes crazy. Because I'm talking about James Charles had been trending from the Friday afternoon to about like 3, 4 a.m. And I know that because I was up till like 4 o'clock in the morning. Until my power went out. For some odd reason. This isn't about that, but like, my town gets together. But like, yeah. So like, he had been trending all day. And a lot of people, and like, there's a little bit too much proof in the pudding. And a lot of people were believing him because this seems to be a recurring thing with James, being called a predator and being in young boys, mentions in young boys, DMs. So after a couple of hours, James, catches wind of what's happening. He releases a statement that says, trigger warning, grooming, and pedophilia. I'll also touch on whether or not this is grooming because I have my opinions on it. But there's a video going around about me on TikTok and Twitter of a guy calling me a groomer, and I want to address this right away. The accusation that I have groomed this person is completely false. Last week, I came across someone on my Instagram Explorer page, saw he followed me, and added him on my Snapchat. We gonna get into that too. Don't worry. The next morning, I woke up to several snaps from this person, excited. I added him back, saying he loved me, and also lewd pictures of himself in the shower. I asked how old he was right away. He told me he was 18, so I started flirting back. In the excitement of meeting someone I thought could potentially be great. I didn't ask for a copy of his ID or passport. It's now clear based on the video he uploaded, he was taking pictures with me with another device and had alternative motives from the beginning. Later in the day, he said a few things that made me question the validity of his original age answer. And asked to confirm his age once again. He admitted he was 16. I told him I was really uncomfortable and apologized for flirting, but he insisted on continue talking, saying it could be our little secret. He was a fan of mine and would never tell. I told him this wasn't okay. He started getting upset, and at this point, I unfriended him. We haven't spoken since. I'm not victim blaming him or victimizing myself either. Simply sharing what happened. And what happened was not okay. After false allegations like this in the past, I would never knowingly engage with anyone underage and put my life on the line for a few Snapchats. Because of the situation like this, instead of taking someone's word for it, I will now ask to see ID or passports of every guy I have conversations with. I have a couple things with his side of the story where it doesn't make a little sense to me. James Charles is one of the biggest beauty influencers. Why is he on the Explore page looking for boys? I don't understand, especially like how the internet is. A lot of the biggest creators are children, so I don't really understand why you would even take the chance. Also, that boy's TikTok has his age all over it, so I'm going to assume that his Instagram as well. Because I feel like if you found his Snapchat through his, seeing him on Explore page, his TikTok was probably right there. Don't know why you didn't check that too. And you just added some random boy you didn't know because he followed you. James, why? And then we get into the fact that, so he added him on Snapchat. Again, why would you? Because that blows my mind. Like, it's really hard for, regular people to get follow backs from celebrities, and you're just on your Explore page just following random boys you don't know. That, to me, I feel like asking for trouble. Right, and he said that, the next day, he woke up to this boy being excited that he followed him, and then naked pictures. Y'all have had no conversation, nothing, and he just sends you nudes. That sounds like a trap. I'm not saying that this boy, because at this point, the situation is a he said, she said type of thing, but the issue with the he said, she said situation in this case is the person that's saying something is an underage boy with her naked pictures in his phone. And it's kind of hard to believe you when, a child has your naked pictures on their phone. The police don't really care what side story you have to tell when a minor has your naked pictures on their phone, right? But okay, so let's go with the narrative that the kid lied about his age, right? My thing is, some complete strange boy you don't know says one thing to you and then sends you a bunch of nudes and you're not thinking that's suspicious, you're James Charles. I feel like influencers need to know better. Like, I feel like most influencers do know better, but it's something about James Charles. I feel like James Charles, like I was talking to my friends about this, is really thirsty to be in a relationship. I feel like he said that before. I don't think he's ever actually been in like a real relationship, and that's honestly not just him. I think a lot of young gay men around, because James Charles is like 21, haven't really been in a real like relationship yet, and that's what's unfortunate about being young and queer. Like, you don't really have the same opportunities to meet other queer people, you know, especially when you're young, because there's a lot of insecurity. A lot of other young queer kids aren't out yet, and they can't be because their parents would kick them out. So, like, it is a little bit harder when you're this young being queer. And from the way James Charles has talked, it sounds like he's never actually been in a relationship yet. But waking up and getting news from someone you don't know sounds like a trap to me. Right? And then he says he asks the boy's age and he tells him that he's 18, and James Charles just believes him. The thing is, James Charles has been in this situation far too many times to just take boys' word. Because here's the thing about young people. We lie about our age. I remember being way too young, but I was in chat rooms lying about my age, you know, stuff like that. Because I just wanted to hang out with the grown people. So it's like young kids lying about their age is not new. And again, you are a public figure. You should always ask for IDs and passwords when you meet people. That should be the first thing you do when you meet someone new, is confirm how old they are. He just took this boy's word for it, which I feel like that's your fault. This situation is your fault, because at the end of the day, you are the adult in this situation. And it's your job to make sure you don't get caught up. Like, does it suck that kids do this shit? Of course it is. But also, I'm not going to be mad at a kid for being a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Again, if I were to believe what James says, and I kind of don't. Because you want me to believe that you've been in this situation multiple times. Because we can take this back. Because again, this situation is proving the Tati video a little bit too right. It's proving Trisha Paytas right, what I hate. And it's making Jebediah Scuttlefish, when he went on his little hobo tour about James Charles, you know, like, victim, he was running around with those voice notes. You're giving these people a lot of validity, James. Because we can take it back to the Tati video, right? And when she said that James is a predator. Now, after that situation happened, there was a lot of straight boys who would lie about being gay and were probably kind of underage and would slide in James Charles' DMs. And at that point, we defended James. Like, even I did. Like, as much as I don't like James Charles, I could see it was the purposeful queer baiting, pretending to be gay, and then be like, do you see what he's doing? I'm straight. He should get with me. He's a predator. Right? Like, when that was happening, like, we definitely had James decide. Because at that time, James really, truthfully, honestly, wasn't doing anything. He was just, you were giving him attention, and he was giving it back to you, and they're like, huh, caught him being a predator. When it was like, no, you went out your way to exploit this man, right? So, like, that is true for what happened to him at the beginning. Which is why this whole situation makes no sense to me, because it's like, you've had that happen to you, and it happens a lot. Like, there was, like, a new straight boy every, like, couple months that was saying that James Charles was in their mentions, in their DMs, right? And so this has been happening to you for years now. Because Bias Sister was, what 2019-ish? And it seems like you haven't learned anything from that. Because, again, we're not asking for IDs and passwords. We're not. Especially when these little TikTok kids be looking growner than me. Like, I look like a baby, right? Like, because I get confused for high schooler all of the time, right? So you're not asking for IDs. Again, that's really hard for me to believe after everything you've been through. You've been accused of being a predator so many times, James Charles. Time after time after time. And a lot of times we took up for you. Again, even those of us who don't like you, we took up for you because we could see these people that were actually trying to exploit you for attention. So it's just like, it's getting to, like, so there's 2 times now there's been a little bit of validity of you being a predator. And I feel like there's a third time you're doing this on purpose. You don't care. You don't care. Because why are we not... We're taking strangers on the internet's word for it. It feels like you just wanted to believe he was 18. But also, like, James Charles, you're 21. As someone who's 2 years older than you, an 18-year-old boy don't got nothing I need, and he don't got nothing you need. And I'm just like... Also, like, the optics of James Charles has a lot of friends who still need to ask for passes to use the bathroom. Like, James Charles spends a lot of time with, like, kids. So that doesn't make this any better, because I would say have one of your friends hook you up with somebody. But all your friends are in first period, right? So, like, a lot of this doesn't look good for James just because, like, again, you hang out with a lot of TikTok children. You gotta hang out with adults, James. It don't look good at the amount of kids you hang around. So it's like we're not confirming ages of people, and we're sending news with our faces in it. Like, we are not James Charles. James Charles moves like he's a regular person sometimes. Like it's so weird because sometimes James Charles can be really out of touch and really just be super tone deaf about a situation, and then sometimes he acts too goddamn regular. And this is him being too goddamn regular. Why are you sending news with your face in it like you are not James Charles, one of the most recognizable faces on the internet? I don't understand, like, it's 2021. You grew up with the internet. You should know better. Do not put your face in anything. Like, it's bad enough he has, like, moles and shit, like very identifying things on his body. But he's giving people everything they need by putting his face in it. Why are we putting our face in our nudes, James? And we're not I'm sorry. I'm really stuck on the fact that he just believed him when he told him he was 18 years old. Oh my God, James. It's so crazy to me how you're so business savvy, but then also gullible. And he's like, from now on, I'm gonna, like, make sure I check age. You should have always been checking age when you were being accused of being a predator. This is the thing. You're making the people who called you a predator you're giving them ammo. Because, like, James, what the fuck, James? What the fuck? Now, I want to talk about the fact that this situation is 100% not grooming. And I feel like right now, grooming is like a hot topic. It's a buzzword right now. So it's one of those things that are being misused. This situation was not grooming. If I'm to believe James, because again, the boy showed evidence, but didn't show enough evidence for me to believe that this happened over a long period of time. So I'm willing to believe James said it happened like last week. Right? Grooming takes longer than a week. I'm sorry. Grooming is grooming like any other form of abuse, especially in a relationship, it takes time. Like, if you're in a physically abusive relationship, he's not gonna beat you day one of dating. Because at that point, you're not invested in him. You're not invested in this relationship enough to stay. The whole point of how abusers work is to make you love them, to break you down. That takes time. And I'm not, attacking the boy, the victim. I just don't like the misuse of things so serious as grooming. And I feel like it kind of diminishes what real grooming is. And I feel like that's not good for the actual victims of grooming. Like, there's a very clear, concise thing of what grooming is. And this was not grooming. Was this predatory? Absolutely. Was it pedophilia? Yes. If it is true that the boy also sent naked pictures to James. Okay, because I'm kind of believing the boy just because I just don't believe that he told you he was 18 and you just simply believed him. I know. No. Because that means that James Charles has learned nothing in his times of being on social media. Because a person who has been accused of being not a groomer, of being a predator is not asking people's ages and then getting it confirmed. I'm hard pressed to believe that. But again, this was not grooming. Grooming takes time. Grooming is one of those things like how, you've ever told somebody a story from your childhood and they looked at you and you're laughing about it, but they're looking at you absolutely horrified, that's grooming. Because you are completely unaware of what is happening. You know, if someone's grooming you, you're not going to know a week in that they're grooming you. So, like, yeah, like, it's one of those things where, like, you could be recounting the story of, like, what happened between you and this person, and you're just, like, hee, ha, ha, laughing, and that person looks at you horrified. And you don't seem to understand what the problem is, what the issue is. You're just like, well, that's just how our relationship works. And it's like, no, baby, there's something wrong about that. That's, like, what grooming is. You know? But I think, like, grooming is just one of those new buzzwords. Even though, like, grooming has always been a thing, now it's popular and trendy to talk about, so now everyone throws in everything. Again, I'm not blaming the kid. He's a child. He's 16 years old. He doesn't know any better. Unless he really was setting up James. Because I could believe that, too, that he was setting up James. But he fell for the okie doke too quickly. Because, again, he sent you news and you were like, yup. He says he's 18. He's giving me no proof. Until you guys had more conversations, you realized he was a child. Okay. Although this may not be a situation of, you know, like, grooming, there was still something very predatory happening. And that was the abuse of power between influencer and fan. Because the boy said in his video that he was a huge fan of James Charles. And James Charles, in his statement, tells us that in the boy's original snaps, he said how much he loved him. And no one's saying that unless they're like a fan of you. So he was aware. So regardless of age, the power imbalance was there. Fan and influencer is still a power imbalance regardless of age. Which is why, like, it's better for, like, famous people and influencers to date other people in their same, you know, like, work. And not date fans. Because there will always be, like, a power imbalance. Okay, so I'm going to pull my lashes really quickly. That's going to take, like, an embarrassing amount of time, but I'll be back. The beat will almost be finished. Okay, because also, like, how many times do influencers and YouTubers have to get in trouble with sexing their fans for y'all to understand that that shit is not okay? Regardless how old someone is, if they're a fan of you, you are not supposed to create or start a sexual relationship with someone. The power imbalance is there from the very beginning. They idolize you. They worship you. They love you. They would do anything for you. That's not devotion. That's being a stan. You don't date stans. You don't do sexual things with stan. Like, again, YouTubers get in trouble for this all the time. And again, just because someone is 18 doesn't make it okay. And another thing that was bothering me is that, so James found this boy's, like, Instagram to then be able to find his Snapchat. And James Charles gives me stalker vibes. Like, not, like, in the sense of, like, they'll follow you around, but, like, they'll definitely, like, find all your social media and, like, stalk through your pages. And again, this boy's, TikTok account has his age 16 all over it. That's weird to me. That, like, James didn't check all of his social media. Because he gives me that type of energy, you know what I mean? That would definitely, like, find all your, like, social media pages and, like, kind of stalk you a little bit. But anyways, back to my initial point about the power imbalance. There is something so gross and disgusting when influencers do this. And I feel like y'all only think it's bad when it's with children. And, like, it's not good when it's adults either. Because, again, there's a very unfair power imbalance. So, again, although his actions were not of that of a groomer, they were still very predatory. Like, those are very predatory actions to kind of solicit naked pictures from someone who is your fan. If we are to believe that the boy lied about his age. Again, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. I'm inclined to believe the victim, and this keeps happening with James Charles, and it feels like every time it happens, it gets a little bit more validity. Because the last boy, y'all didn't listen to him. But this boy came with the receipts, so people are more inclined to believe him. Also, it just feels like because also like James Charles at one point in time was friends with a lot of the major, you know, creeps and predators on this health site called YouTube. You know, again, friends with Jeffree Star, friends with Shane Dawson. So it doesn't look good because you are the company you keep. And if you're friends with predators, because again, Jebediah Skullfish is friends with many predators. So it's like, you're friends with people who don't mind the company of predators. You're friends with somebody who is a fucking predator, Shane Dawson. You know? And again, you're giving Tati's video so much validity now. Like, Bye Sister is coming back in full force. I know Tati was kikiing and laughing about this whole situation. Because I would be. I'd be like, I fucking told you bitches. Even though you guys are friends again. Because, like, this whole situation, it's a lot of this is James' fault. Not doing his due diligence, not only as an adult, but as an influencer. Why are we... Because my brain cannot comprehend the fact that this boy was just on the Explore page shopping for a boyfriend. James Charles, you can very much so tell James Charles desperately wants to be in a relationship. Because he said it before. He said how much he wants to, like, a boyfriend, want to date and stuff like that. And, like, he's getting really thirsty. But it's like, you're finding these children. You keep seeming to find yourself in situations with children because a lot of your friends are children. Like, I feel like we gloss over this point far too much. James Charles is friends with too many kids. James Charles is not, like, is Nikita Dragon? Are him and Nikita friends? I think so. I think Nikita Dragon might be the oldest person. Like, Dixie and Nikita might be the oldest people I've seen James Charles with. Because everyone else feels like they straight out of high school. And it's like, you're 21 now. You can't be hanging out with people that need hall passes. Because you see what it gets you in? Other kids. Also, I feel like, if this boy is lying, how did he know that simply just sending James Charles nudes would work? Because if you slid in my DMs with some nudes, you're getting blocked. We're not having a conversation with each other. So I feel like there's, on the social media and, you know, the people who are on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever, they are aware that if you want James Charles' attention, all you have to do is send him nudes. Because I can't believe that this boy said, I'm a really big fan. Here's my dick print. And you was like, sure, we getting it. We getting it on and popping and shit. Because, like, listen, guys, I'm sorry. It's the not asking for ID really blows my shit. Because I really don't get it. How are we not asking for ID? Like, how are we not doing that? I'm confused. Like... And then also, at 21, 18-year-old boys, James Charles, have nothing you need. Listen to your big sis, all right? 18-year-old boys don't have anything you need. You need to be talking to the 21 and up crowd. Maybe even 20. 20 and up crowd, that's who you should be talking to. That's who you should be engaging with. Not 18-year-old boys. Because 18, 19-year-olds are children. I know they like to pretend like they're grown-ups, but they're really not. And you can see from the behavior. And it's getting to a point where it's like, I'm starting to believe the rumors of you being a predator, because no sane person is just taking someone's word for it. No one is doing that. Nobody who is vigilant about not ever being considered a predator is just taking people's word for it. Again, he moves like a civilian, and he can't do that. As a social media person, you need to move like there's always a camera on you, that someone's always recording you, someone's always screenshotting things you're saying. You just can't be talking to fans crazy. Like, that's not and that's the thing. So many, like, famous people have said, like, anytime they've, like, talked to a fan and they didn't give the fan the attention that they wanted, the fans turned on them. That's what fans do. If you give them too much attention and then you don't keep giving it to them, they're going to turn on you. Because I could slightly believe that maybe the kid lied Because, again, teenagers lie. I'm not mad at him. He's a child. And again, James Charles did not do his due diligence to make sure that he was actually 18. And, you know, he sent James nudes, and he really was, like, trying to, like, be like, I really like you, here to make you pictures. And then James Charles kind of turned on him when he realized that he wasn't 18. And then the kid was being vindictive. That's the thing that could possibly happen. But at the end of the day, this would have never happened if James Charles was doing what he was supposed to from the beginning. You have, because again, why are you just adding random people on Snap? Because, so, for him to do that, he could have realized he had to know this kid had, like, a decent amount following. So again, you didn't check his any other social media? Because him being 16 is all over his TikTok. Again, James Charles gives me stalker vibes. Like, he would definitely stalk your whole internet life. So for him to miss that, that's why I'm kind of more inclined to believe the kid. Because one, I do believe victims. And two, James Charles got far too many holes in his story. Again, as someone who is constantly being called a predator, he's not doing everything he possibly can to not be proving that, you know? He's not doing it, and I have to give him the side eye, because it's just like, this is twice now that you've people calling you groomers and calling you predator type things, and this one has way more evidence than the last one. Like, it's like he simply does not care and he feels untouchable, because it feels like he is. It definitely feels like, I feel like after, like, his response to Bye Sister, he was like, y'all can never cancel me now. Okay, sis. Okay. His statement was really bad because he didn't really make himself look innocent. I feel like he kind of gave a lot of validity to what the kid said. And again, we have a minor with show naked pictures in his phone. It don't really matter what either y'all got to say. There is a minor with naked pictures of you, a 20-year-old man, in his phone. It should have never happened. Why are you sending nudes to people? James, you are too big to be doing shit like this. And I'm starting to kind of believe you are. It's giving predator. It's giving predator. It truly, truly is. Because it's just like, this kid's a fan. Regardless of how old he is still a fan. There is a power imbalance. Nothing sexual should have ever happened between you two. And you need to learn that. Because he keeps playing with fire and he's going to get burned. He really, really is. Like, it took, you know, Shane Dawson and Jebediah Skullfish a minute, but it happened. So he needs to be careful if these allegations are false, which they not. How many more times? How many more times do you give people ammo and they don't shoot? So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the final look. I think I've done a look like this very similar before. Listen, because I thought I went with the shirt. Like, cause my shirt's blue, then it's yellow, then it's blue. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And this, like, shimmer is really, like, vibrant and electric. So it's like, my shirt is giving Pikachu type vibes. So why not? But yeah, what do you guys think of this situation? Do you believe that James Charles at this point is a predator and is doing this shit on purpose because he feels like he's untouchable? Do you think maybe the kid's lying? Or maybe it's kind of somewhere in the middle where maybe he did present himself as 18 but then was like, I'm really not, and James didn't care? Like, what do you guys think about the situation? Do you think James Charles is a groomer? Do you believe everyone is just overusing the word groomer? I really want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.